All right, so we are on Unit 8 and we are on to topic number 5. And topic number 5 introduces a new word. That word is factor. So the word factor is another word for, and when we use it like a verb, it's another word for divide. So basically, the last two topics we have been multiplying. We've done that with distribution and with the box method, and now we're going to work backwards. Instead of multiplying, we're going to divide. So factoring out the greatest common factor, which in other words we call the GCF, greatest common factor. When doing that, we're looking for the biggest thing that we can divide out of all the terms in a polynomial. So the way we're going to do that is with the box method, but we're going to do the box method in reverse. So when we're asked to factor, what we're actually going to do is put the terms on the inside of the box and work backwards to calculate the outside. All right, so we're going to start by defining the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the greatest term that can be divided into all terms of a polynomial. So we are going to look for a GCF. We're going to look for the biggest term that we can divide all of the terms of a polynomial by. So starting with example 1, we have 5y squared plus 10y cubed. Basically what I'm trying to figure out is what can I multiply to get these two terms. So I'm going to put these terms inside the box, 5y squared and 10y cubed. And I want to work backwards. I want to fill in something here and also here. To do that, I'm going to think about what goes right here, and that's going to be my GCF. It's going to be the biggest thing that I can divide into both of these terms. First, I'm going to look at the coefficients. My coefficients are 5 and 10. I want to think of the biggest number that can divide into both 5 and 10, and that biggest number, that biggest value, is a 5. Now I want to think about the y's. I have 2 y's here and 3 y's here. The y's that they have in common are, they have 2 in common. This term has 2 y's, this term has 3, so it has 2 and then 1 extra. Alright, so once I have my GCF right here, now I'm going to fill out the top, the outside of the box. So I want to think about what do I multiply 5y squared by in order to get 5y squared, and it stays the same, so I have to multiply that by 1. Then I go here, what do I multiply 5y squared by to get 10y cubed? So to multiply 5 to get to 10, I have to have a 2 because 5 times 2 is 10. What about y squared? To go from y squared, what do I have to multiply by to get y cubed? And that is just a single y. Alright, so this is really important what this says. It says, since we started on the inside of the box, the answer is both of the expressions on the outside, which means it's here and here. And the way that we write our answer is like this. We write 5y squared first, parentheses, and then I write the top term, 1, and it's a positive 2y. Let's talk about the reason why this works. So I want to think about if I had you distribute. If you had to distribute this 5y squared like we did in topic 4, you would do 5y squared times 1, and you would get 5y squared. Then you do 5y squared times 2y, and you would get 10y cubed. Alright, let's try this again. Now we have 3x squared minus 18. So I have two terms, 3x squared and a minus 18. So I'm going to put those inside of this box like this. And I want to think right here about what the GCF is. The GCF is the biggest number that divides into both of these. So I have a 3 and an 18, a negative 18. So it can't be any bigger than 3. It has to divide into 3. And 3 actually does divide into 18. So I'm going to put the number 3 here. That's the biggest it can be. Now look at the x's. This term has x squared. This term doesn't have any x's. So that means they don't have any x's in common. So my GCF is just 3 by itself. All right, so now I'm going to fill out up here. I have to multiply 3 by something up here to get 3x squared. And what this term is missing is that x squared. Now I have to multiply 3 by something up here to get negative 18. And that has to be a negative 6, because 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Okay, so my answer is what is outside the box. It's these two parts. So my answer for this one is the 3 goes out front. Then in parentheses, x squared minus 6, close parentheses. Let's see if this works. 3 times x squared gives me 3x squared. 3 times negative 6 gives me negative 18. All right, last one. We have 4y cubed minus 2y squared minus 6y. 1, 2, 3 terms. I'm going to put these 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, right here. 4y cubed minus 2y squared minus 6y. All right, now what we're going to put out front is the GCF. So I want to look at the numbers first. I have a 4, a negative 2, and a negative 6. So the smallest number here is 2. It can't be any bigger than 2. And actually, let's see if 2 divides into all these numbers. 2 divides into 2, 2 divides into 4, and 2 divides into 6. So my GCF is going to have a coefficient of 2. Now let's look at the y's. This has 3 y's, 2 y's, and only 1 y. So how many y's do they have in common? The biggest one that they have in common is just a single y. If we put any more y's, it would be too big, it couldn't go into this term. All right, now we have to fill out this term up here. I have to go from 2y, multiply by something to get 4y cubed. So I need a 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And if I only have 1 y, I need 2 up here, because y times y squared is y cubed. All right, now I have to go from a positive 2y, I have to multiply by something to get negative 2y squared. So the 2 stayed the same number, it just turned negative, so I need a negative 1. And then y to y squared, I need an extra y. Lastly, I have to go 2 to a negative 6, so I need a negative 3. That'll get me 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I have a y here and a y here, which means I don't need any more y's here. If I put a y here, then I would have more than 6y. All right, my answer is here and here. And the way that we write our answer is the 2y comes first, parentheses, and then I have these 3 terms up here. 2y squared minus 1y minus 3. All right, and let's just check this. 2y times 2y squared is 4y cubed. 2y times negative 1y is negative 2y squared. 2y times negative 3 is negative 6y. All right, so I want you to practice right now with your homework. We should be on homework number 4, I believe, at this point. This is a pretty tricky topic, so make sure you take your time with your homework.